Season 6 of The Handmaid's Tale is well and truly underway, and after what felt like a mediocre episode, which was episode 4, as we now approach the halfway point of the season, I'm hoping that the show will now kick into gear and provide us with the final 6 episodes that the show could potentially be remembered for. With Mayday looking to launch an attack on Gilead, Serena and Commander Wharton getting closer and closer, and June letting her savior complex dictate the direction that she's going to be going in, when in reality she should be returning to Holly. I thought I'd now share my theories and predictions on what I think is going to happen in the next episode and beyond. So let's get into it. Here is The Handmaid's Tale Season 6 Episode 5 Theories Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Mayday's plan with Luke and June. Luke and June look like they're set on going into Gilead to kickstart the plan of getting revenge on the commanders that shot down the plane, and I think this will be something that's going to cause a lot more damage to them than what they realize. Luke seems to be blinded by rage, anger, and is being led by his emotions of wanting to find Hannah, which is understandable. But the thing is, not only is he using that to fuel his thirst for revenge, but it feels like he's letting the fact that he feels like he's been useless when June hasn't, and like he needs to show that he's doing something to be his reason as well, which isn't the right way to go about it. I think Luke is going to land himself in a lot of trouble when he enters the borders of Gilead. We already saw that himself and Moira got themselves stuck in the amusement park due to the patrol, and I think the same thing is going to happen again with him, because he's clearly not cut out to do the job. There are a few different things that I think could happen with Luke, but ultimately I think he's going to end up dead, and his emotions that are leading him will be the catalyst for his downfall. This will be something that will also connect to what he said about their family being broken. June has learned the hard way, but even though she's still led by her emotions, despite her emotions leading her, she does also use logic. And that's the key differentiating factor between the both of them, and why I don't think she'll end up dying. June mentioned how she didn't want Moira to go into Gilead and then into Jezebels because she was worried about what would happen to her if she did. However, I think once June enters Gilead, her savior complex and mindset that she has will take over, and it's going to be more difficult for her to leave than she realized. Especially with her being closer geographically to Hannah. She'll see the likes of Janine and the fact that she's choosing not to leave, and it'll only make her want to stay and fight even more because she'll want to rescue her. I think June is going to be key in the plan that unfolds when it comes to hitting Gilead where it hurts. And I wonder if that's going to be something that'll push her and Luke apart and add even more emotion within him to the fueled rage that he's being led with. And then, with that potentially happening, it could contribute to his demise and him potentially going rogue, which could be where he ends up being killed. The seed was planted in the different approaches that they had with plans when Luke's mission that he created for Mayday was being questioned by June in front of everybody. So I think that not only showed us that they're going to be growing apart and maybe not get their happy ending, but I think it also shows that Luke could end up being killed. I think it would be a rather fitting end to the character's story, to be fair, because he'll die fighting for something that he believed in. But I think his death would sum up the character's treatment perfectly, second best, as I feel like he's kind of always felt second best to Nick for June. So the kickstarting of their plan is something that I think we'll see, which means one good thing, a lot of doing, and not just conversations like what we had in the most recent episode. The search for Hannah is something that has taken a bit of a back seat in the show, but I do think with Luke and June being within the borders, we'll see them realize just how close they are to her, and that will also be injected within their plan that they're carrying out. Janine. Well, what's particularly interesting about the next episode is that it's actually titled after one of the characters, Janine. Usually when a show does that, it means that the character is going to have a large focus, which would be good because we've not really seen much of Janine in the first 4 episodes. But the thing that I'm fearful of is that this could mean goodbye for the character that we all want to see succeed and escape Jezebels. We know that Mayday are launching an attack on Jezebels, and we saw that they knew that Janine was in there based on the intel that they printed off. So I wonder if it means that she could get caught in the crossfire that looks set to be on the horizon. That's one potential route that the show could go down in the next episode. However, I think with the episode being titled Janine, and with it seeming like Luke and June are going into Gilead in disguise and undercover, it could be more so focused around them trying to reach Janine and get her to safety. I also think paired with that, we could see Aunt Lydia doing her best to get Janine out of there as well. However, with the only thing that Janine sees herself living for being under the roof of Naomi and Commander Lawrence, I don't think she's going to take the hand that's there, which would ultimately allow her to leave. I think she's going to stay in Jezebels at first because she doesn't see any other direction for her life. Aunt Lydia does have a sense of care towards Janine, but I don't think that's going to be the hand that she takes a hold of first. I think she's going to instead take June's helping hand when it comes to escaping, and with it looking like a rebellion's on the horizon, I think Janine could potentially be a key figure in that. We do know that Aunt Lydia is also growing a distaste towards the establishment and the lies that herself and the girls have been fed, whilst also seeing the treatment too. So I wonder if Aunt Lydia will side with the likes of June and Janine if Janine does go with her. That's a link up that I would like to see for sure. So whilst Janine could well end up being killed and the next episode could be her last, hence the title of it, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think she's going to have an extremely important role moving forward for the uprising that looks like it's on the horizon. Serena and High Commander Wharton. This is a dynamic that I'm finding really interesting as it develops. The relationship that seems to be blossoming between the both of them is one that feels mutually beneficial from the outside. Wharton is a High Commander, and if they were together, it would ultimately give Serena an inflated sense of importance due to being with a High Commander. And for Wharton, Serena is this image of hope and the future, and that would also help his image when it comes to being perceived by those that are important inside and outside. Plus, we also heard that he wanted to have a family, and if he's with Serena, that's something that could potentially happen. However, I think we could see the cracks start to show in this relationship very soon. For example, High Commander Wharton is a traditional man of Gilead and Serena is a modern woman of Gilead, and naturally, I think we're going to see their values and opinions that they both hold collide, and we could see the differences start to dominate. New Bethlehem feels like it's High Commander Lawrence's project that he's created with the intention of cleaning up the mess that he feels was made in Gilead. But I think with Serena and High Commander Wharton being together, two people that seem to thrive when power is at the heart of them, I think we could see this New Bethlehem warp into an image of the very thing that it swore to be different from. This will most likely be because of this image of hope and the future. Serena will gain a sense of power and importance, and High Commander Wharton obviously also views himself as important too, so when they're both together, I think it'll become a cocktail for a disaster. I think this will be the very thing that pushes High Commander Lawrence further away as well. We've seen that he already has his reservations about the promotion that he recently got, and he couldn't be further from many of the men of Gilead. So if remnants of the very thing that he wanted to be vacant from New Bethlehem start to show, I imagine he'll do what he can to prevent it. But I don't think he'll have the power or authority to stop Serena, and most importantly, High Commander Wharton. So that conflict in itself has the potential to be very large. The next episode is one that I think is going to be really interesting. There are genuinely so many different directions that it could go in. However, with a lot of conversation happening in the previous episode, I think that now means we'll get a lot more action in this next installment. So, there you have it, The Handmaid's Tale Season 6 Episode 5 Theories Explained. If you want to see every episode of The Handmaid's Tale Season 6 being broken down, then I've put the playlist below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What do you think will happen next? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.